All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about something that is, no joke, one of the most important tools you'll ever learn in programming: loops. Honestly, getting a handle on these isn't just a basic step. It's like you're unlocking your very first coding superpower.
You know that feeling, right? When you find yourself just copying and pasting the same line of code over and over and over again. It is tedious, it's boring, and frankly, it's a terrible way to code. But there is a much, much better way.
So yeah, this whole issue, this mind-numbing repetition, it's a classic problem in the world of programming. The good news? It's a problem with a really, really elegant solution. I mean, seriously, can you imagine having to write the same line of code 100 times? Now, what if you had to change just one tiny thing in that line? You'd have to go back and make 100 different edits. It'd be a nightmare. A simple loop can turn all of that, 100 lines of code, into just 3. It saves you time, and it saves you from making mistakes.
And that smarter way, that's where loops come in. This is that superpower I was talking about. It's what lets you automate all that repetitive work, it cuts down on errors, and it helps you write code that's just clean, readable, and way easier to manage.
So let's break it down. What is a loop, really? Well, it's just a way to repeat a block of code as long as a certain condition stays true. You'll also hear this called iteration. It means the same thing. Basically, it's the engine that drives automation in your code. Okay, so take a look at this. This flowchart kind of maps out the life of a typical loop. It all starts with what we call initialization, setting up your starting point. Then you jump into the cycle. First, the loop checks a condition. It asks a question. If the answer is true, it does the action inside. Then, and this is key, it updates itself and goes right back to the beginning to check the condition again. If the condition is ever false, the cycle breaks, and your program just moves on. So remember that flow: initialize, check, act, and repeat.
So why does this matter so much? Well, the real power of loops is code reusability. Think about it. Instead of writing separate code for every single item on a shopping list, you just write the logic one time, like check price, and the loop does the heavy lifting of applying that logic to every single item for you.
All right, so you're sold on why we need loops. Now let's look at the two main tools you're going to find in your toolkit: the for loop and the while loop. They both do the same basic job of repeating code, but you use them in pretty different situations. So here's the absolute simplest way to think about it. A for loop is your best friend when you know exactly how many times you need to do something, like run this code 10 times. A while loop is for when you don't know. It just keeps going while some condition is true, whether that takes 2 repetitions or 200.
Now this table really lays out the nitty-gritty differences. For a for loop, you'll notice that the whole setup, the initialization, the condition, and the update, it's all packed neatly into one line. It's super organized. But with a while loop, all those pieces are separate. You have to initialize your variable before the loop starts, and you have to remember to do the update inside the loop. And that last part, forgetting to update, that's a classic recipe for disaster. We'll get to that in a sec.
So think about a for loop that counts to 5. It's kind of like giving a single command. Hey, start a counter at 1, keep going as long as it's not over 5, and add 1 each time you finish. All the rules are right there in one place, perfect for when you know the destination. Now, a while loop can do the exact same thing, but it thinks about it differently. You'd say, okay, first let's create a counter and set it to 1. Now, while that counter is 5 or less, do the action. And then, don't forget to add 1 to the counter. See how you have to manage all the pieces yourself? Okay, but what if you're in the middle of a loop and you need to change plans? That's where 2 other magic keywords come in: break and continue. The best way to think of them is like the stop button and the skip button on your remote control. First, let's look at a totally normal loop. No tricks, it just runs from start to finish, printing all the numbers from 0 to 9, exactly like you'd expect. Simple. But look what happens if we add a break. If we tell the loop to break the moment the counter hits 5, it's like slamming on the emergency brake. The loop just stops, dead in its tracks. It doesn't finish the work for 5. It doesn't move on to 6. The whole thing is just over. Now, continue is completely different. It's not a stop button, it's a skip button. When our counter gets to 5, continue tells the loop, hey, just skip the rest of the code for this one round and jump straight to the next one. And that's exactly why the number 5 is missing from our output, but the loop happily carries on with 6, 7, 8, and 9. With great power, well, you know the rest. Loops are incredible tools,
but if you aren't careful, they can cause some of the most frustrating bugs you'll ever encounter in programming.
And this right here, this is the big one, the dreaded infinite loop. It's a loop where the exit condition is never ever met. The program gets stuck, eats up all your computer's memory, and then just freezes or crashes. It is a classic mistake, and it's one you really want to avoid.
So always double-check your logic. Make sure there's a way for your loop to actually end. Watch out for those off by one errors, mixing up less than with less than or equal to. And just as a general rule, try not to mess with your counter variable inside the loop itself. It can lead to some really weird and unpredictable behavior.
Okay, once you've got single loops down, things can get even more interesting. For more complex problems, you can actually put a loop inside of another loop. We call this a nested loop.
The absolute key to wrapping your head around nested loops is this. For every single time the outer loop runs once, the inner loop will run through its entire cycle from start to finish. This creates a really powerful pattern for working with data that has more than one dimension.
So when would you actually use this? Well, think about working with anything that looks like a grid or a table. A perfect example is a list of students. The outer loop could go through each student one by one. But for each of those students, you might have a list of their grades. That's where the inner loop comes in. It would go through all the grades for that one student. It's a supernatural way to handle that kind of data.
Okay, that was a lot. Let's boil it all down to the absolute must-knows. Loops are your superpower for automating boring, repetitive stuff. Use a for loop when you know how many times you need to go. Use a while loop when you don't. Break is your stop button, continue is your skip button, and most importantly, please, always make sure your loop has a way to end.
So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. You now have this fundamental tool for making the computer do the boring work for you. So what's the first problem, big or small, that you're going to solve with your new superpower?